Hello engineers, welcome to the Troll Cave. My name is Hage, and today I'm going to teach you how to make guided missiles in Space Engineers. There are a number of different ways to do this, but all of them require scripts. So let's start off by enabling scripts in our world. I'm going to start a new world here, but you can also enable this in the advanced settings of an existing world or on a server. To enable scripts, simply go to the Advanced Options menu and click the Enable In-World Scripts checkbox. I also personally prefer to turn off autosave because there's a lot of trial and error involved in creating missiles. They tend to blow up, and I don't like to have the game automatically save after my entire creation explodes. Let's start by enabling all of our creative mode tools and then traveling to an open area to work in. As always, I'm going to build off of landing gear so that our blueprints will be correctly oriented with the forward direction. There are several different missile scripts that you can use. Today I'll be teaching you how to use Rdav's Guided Missile Script by Rdav. This is my personal favorite guided missile script because it's easy to set up. It uses the fewest possible components, making it much easier to build in survival, and it's also performance friendly because it uses turret AI instead of ray tracing. If you don't have the script yet, you can pick it up on the Steam Workshop. Once you do have it, click on Edit and simply add it to the programmable block. There are a few required blocks for the launching platform and for the missile itself. The launching platform requires a programmable block, a power source, and a merge block. The missile requires a merge block, a power source, a gyroscope, and a thruster. You can put the guidance turret on either the launching platform or the missile itself. Optionally, we can include a sound block. Missiles attach to the launching platform by a merge block, so the launching platform and the missile have to be the same grid size. If the missile is large, the launching platform will be large as well. Since we've created a large grid launching platform for this demonstration, we will also be making a large grid missile. Missiles can be as large or complex as you want them to be, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be creating the most basic missile that I can. Checking the requirements just now, it looks like I forgot to mention that we do also need a control station on the launching platform. This can be a control seat, it can be a cockpit, or it can be a remote control. The facing of your control station is important because missiles will fly forward first in that direction whenever the turret does not have a lock, or if your turret loses its lock. I'm coloring our missile red here so that we can easily differentiate between which blocks belong to the missile and which blocks belong to the launching platform. Coloring your missile is not required. Let's go through and add the required blocks for a missile, starting at the bottom with our thruster. Then we need a power source. I choose to use a battery because they recharge automatically. Warheads aren't required, but I like missiles that go boom, so here we go. And lastly, in order for our missile to steer, it needs a gyroscope. And that's everything we need on the missile itself. Since we've decided that our guidance turret is going to be on the launching platform, let's go ahead and place that. And that is everything that we need. Now that we have placed all of the necessary blocks, let's rename the missile group. Rdav's Guided Missile Script recognizes which blocks it needs to control based on a tag. By default, that tag is hashtag capital A hashtag. Just add that to the name of every block that the missile needs to control. This includes the merge block on the missile itself, the gyroscope, the power source on the missile itself, and as well as the guidance turret. You don't have to rename the warhead. Once everything is renamed, open up the programmable block and recompile the script. It'll tell you which blocks are missing. In this case, it tells us that we're missing a sound block. Now, sound blocks are not required in order for the scripts to work, but they will give you a nice lock-on sound whenever the guidance turret detects a target. So let's go ahead and add that and rename it as well. Just like the other blogs, hashtag a hashtag, open up the programmable block, and recompile. No more errors. There's just one more step before we're ready to fire, and that is to add some ammunition to our turret. If the turret's not tracking a target, the missile won't guide. So I add a little bit of ammunition to our turret. I probably didn't add enough, but this is now ready to fire. So let's add us a target. I'm going to load in a Taxi XXL, which is a blueprint that I have. I usually use this for targeting. I'm going to transfer this over to Space Pirates because the turret has to track the target. We can hear the turret firing. That means it's tracking the target. We'll also hear the sound block. So the next step, in order to actually fire the missile, is to run the programmable block with the augment fire, capital F. When testing a missile in a single-player game, I recommend that you quick save before firing. You can do this by pressing Shift F5, and you can load your quick save by pressing F5. That way, if you run into any problems, and you will, you can quickly load your file up without blowing everything up and restarting from the beginning. Here, I attempt to fire the missile and nothing happens, so I know that there's some kind of an error. I'll open up the programmable block, and it will give me any error messages. It tells me it's missing a gyroscope, which means I failed to rename it. So, I go into the control panel, open up the gyroscope, and add the hashtag a hashtag marker to it, and then recompile the script. As soon as that's done, we're ready to fire, so I run the fire augment. And there you have it, a successful launch, a successful hit. That is the simplest way to use the Rdav Missile Script. Now, there are a few other things that we can go over to improve its performance here. We can actually control how far forward the missile will travel before guidance kicks in. This allows us to use missile tubes, underground missile silos, or a ICBM style strike from above. To edit the launch distance here, edit the programmable block, scroll down to double launch dist, and you'll see that it's 15 by default. That means that the missile will fire 15 meters before guidance kicks in. You can set this to anything you want. Even if it travels outside of the guidance turret's targeting range, as long as the guidance turret is still targeting the target, the missile will come back and hit it. I've tested this as far as 10 kilometers out. In this case, I've set the value to 1,000, which is 1,000 meters, meaning that the missile will travel 1,000 meters in a forward direction before it turns around to hit the target. An unfortunate consequence of this is that when the missile travels too far away from a player, the warhead will occasionally deactivate. This is not a problem with the script, it's a hard-coded problem with SE itself. The last feature we'll be looking at today is auto launch. With auto launch enabled, as soon as your targeting turret sees a target, it will start to fire missiles at it, without any input from you. To enable this feature, go into your control panel and edit the programmable block. Scroll down until you see bool auto launch, which is set to false by default. Simply turn this to true and recompile the block. The line directly below the auto launch option determines the amount of time between launches. As you can see, the missile fired as soon as I recompiled the block because the turret already had a target. There's one more thing that we can do to properly optimize the performance of these missiles, which we've been neglecting up until now. In order for the thrusters to compensate for the weight of the missile, we have to input the weight of the missile into the gyroscopes, custom data. If we don't do that, missiles will tend to sag below targets a little bit and won't track quite right. They'll hit just fine against stationary targets like we saw here, but they won't perform well against moving targets. So let's update that now. The simplest way to do that is to separate the missile from the launch platform and open the Info tab. Take note of the total mass of the missile grid and put that number into the custom data of your gyroscope. Once you've done that, you can blueprint the missile for use in survival mode, or in creative mode you can copy and paste it back onto the launch platform for much more accurate fires. When we fire the missile this last time, you'll notice that the missile stays higher rather than sagging down and coming back up to hit the target again. And that covers all of the basics for how to use Rdav's guided missile script. Check out my other videos for how to use this script to create some pretty devastating vanilla missiles, as well as how to combine it with other scripts to do some pretty cool stuff. There are also a number of mods out there which can greatly enhance the usefulness of this script, and they're fairly common on multiplayer servers, so definitely check out our other videos for that. I've been Hage, and this is the Troll Cave. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.